Making friends is just one of the benefits of helping others. A contributor who calls himself Professor X has been sending us videos for a long time. He and his friends are helping improve the lives of others just like him.
Life is very different for some people. Accessibility is very important to some, where accessibility may not be for others. Whether it be getting into an elevator or getting out a door.
Richard Gaskin and Santina Mucha may be better known by their stage names, Professor X and Star. Their mission is to raise awareness of spinal cord injuries and wheelchair accessibility. These are issues that have been huge obstacles in Richard and Santina's lives for decades.
In 1987, I was shot in my neck by a local peer, and the bullet just instantly paralyzed me, and I knew nothing about paralysis.
As Richard learned about his disability, he found hope in actor Christopher Reeve's public activism for finding a cure for spinal cord injuries. Reeve's death in October of 2004 was a source of both pain and inspiration for Richard.
It kind of struck me, and I decided, I'm gonna write a song for him. So I wrote a song called Forever Superman.
While the future bleeds, no more paralysis, the wheelchair.
He posted his song on the internet and was invited to perform at a rally in Washington, D.C.
When I did the song, I was on the stage with his wife, with Dana Reeve, and I was like, wow, all of these things that's going on from that day I wrote the song just started to hit me like, there must be a purpose for what I'm doing right now.
This series of events moved Richard to shift the focus from his own injury to other people with similar disabilities.
My nonprofit is I Believe INC, and what we do is we want to help people, who can't get out their homes, because at one point in time, I couldn't get out my house, and it took me 10 years to afford a rent.
He teamed up with fellow activist Santina and was invited to attend high-profile awareness rallies. They also create music videos to showcase opportunities for those with similar injuries.
We would like to touch the younger audience. There's a lot of people out there with spinal cord injuries and disease that are all over the internet right now. They get their information mostly from the internet and TV, so we want to be there for those people.
These videos are not only about wheelchair ramps and lifts. Richard and Santina also seek out entertainment events that injured people can participate in, such as surfing or racing a car.
We want to show the world that it doesn't matter your situation, you can do whatever you want.
Now we turn to Sudan, which has been shattered by civil conflict.
One man from Montclair is on a mission to help find a cure for spinal cord injuries. Rapper Professor X, along with friends and family, heading down to Washington, D.C. to rally for the passage of the Christopher Reeve Paralysis Act. News 12 New Jersey's Cynthia Scott tells us about a man who helps keep Christopher and Dana Reeve's work going through his music.
No more songs I wish to cause us to cry.
Rapper Professor X sings about hope in finding a cure for spinal cord injuries. He's been bound to a wheelchair since 1987 after being shot.
Basically, I didn't know what paralysis was. This was 1987. Considered the dark ages for paralysis.
But when Christopher Reeve became the face for spinal cord injuries, life changed for Professor X, along with countless others.
Once Christopher Reeve brought the awareness, it gave me hope. I changed everything about what I did, type of music and the songs that I wrote.
And over the weekend, Professor X, as well as the folks here from the Christopher Reeve Foundation, will head to Washington to urge Congress to pass the Christopher Reeve Paralysis Act, a bill that would advance collaborative research into a cure for paralysis.
We have bipartisan support. It is a very non-controversial bill. It's not about stem cells. It's not about anything controversial. It's really about collaboration, cooperation.
We all can dream again. I thank God you're a Superman.
Last year, Professor X met Dana at the event in D.C. and sang a song about Christopher. This year, he wrote one for Dana.
Let's not Dana and Chris mission for our lives. Their name brought the awareness. Now it's up to us to become the soldiers for the cure.
Cynthia Scott, News 12, New Jersey.
The Kindle, unkind to people with disabilities. There is a controversy that iReport is exploring today about the popular electronic device that has some people pretty peeved. Henry Hanks is joining us from our CNN.com newsroom. So Henry, what is this all about?
Yeah, Richard Gaskin, one of our prolific reporters, he's an advocate for the disabled. He brought our attention to this protest which took place the other day in New York by the Authors Guild. Now, the Authors Guild had a problem with Amazon's Kindle, which would allow text-to-speech possibility for people to hear someone reading the book to them. They said this was a violation of copyright. They were going to give publishers the option to opt out of this possibility to allow people to hear the book being read, and the advocates for the disabled were not pleased with that. They went to New York. They went to the Authors Guild in New York and held a protest. Let's take a look at that video.
It's an important protest right now that I'm at, and they're trying to take the speech out of books so people who cannot see the words can't be able to hear the words. Now, that type of discrimination is not something that people in my situation or anybody's situation should stand for. So we're at the protest in front of the Authors Guild so we can keep the speech text inside of books.
For too long, it has taken months and years to get any kind of text in an accessible form. The Kindle, too, offers the first real manner in which we can make text accessible to people with all kinds of disabilities very easily for the same price as everybody else.
Because of my situation, if you can see or not see, it doesn't matter. But I cannot hold this mic with a firm grip. So I may not be able to hold a book with a firm grip. So I need that text to speech to be able to hear what I need to learn.
Now that's Richard himself there, who was one of the speakers at the protest. Since then, the Authors Guild released a statement calling this protest unfortunate and unnecessary. They said that they have actually say that there's an exception to copyright law, which would actually allow those with visually impaired disabilities to hear the books, to hear audio books, and they encourage people to use technology that it would make this much easier, and that this was something that didn't really have to happen.
And we should probably, we're kind of assuming everyone knows what a Kindle is, but essentially it's a device made by Amazon that is an electronic book. So
it's sort of an iPod for books.
There you go. Yeah, you can download whole, many books to one little electronic device, and you can read those books on a computer-like screen. So that's the device, and that's the controversy. Interesting. I'm sure Amazon will also have something to say about this. Have we heard from them? Do we know?
Amazon made no comment. They gave in to the Authors Guild when the Authors Guild first raised a fuss over this, and that's sort of where all this fury began, when Amazon agreed to it. And so it continues, but we'll have to see if they're continuing. I've heard they might be continuing to do protests in other places, so we'll see how this goes.
Okay, so switching subjects for a second, what are you guys asking for today from your iReporters?
Well, when people travel on business a lot these days, and but there's lots of new technology and new ways to keep in touch with friends and family. If you're on the road, if you're traveling for business all the time, how exactly do you keep in touch with your friends back home, your family back home? We're wanting to know people what methods they use. And if they go to iReport.com and let us know what share us a video to show us how they keep in touch.
Henry Hanks from our iReport desk. Henry, thank you.
Thanks a lot.